Prisoner
and Co.
Welcome to
Second-Hand Haunting,
where we read ghost stories from a second-hand book someone found in a second-hand shop and try and make sense of them.
Fun of them.
Sense of them.
Fun of them.
Ah! Who are you? Wait, you're my wife. Hey, Amber.
Hi, Callum. Hi, Olly.
Hi, Amber. About to call you Callum there for a second, I don't know why.
I'll be Callum 1 and Callum can be Callum 2.
Why do I get to be Callum 2? You know what? I'm the second one, the improved model. I'm also the oldest, as evidenced by the fact that this episode is coming out somewhere around my birthday, and it looks
yay.
like you've got a little present for me on the desk there.
Yes, this book is Mysteries of the Unexplained. It's a Reader's Digest book that a friend found this for us at a secondhand store and gave it to me to give to you, but I read the first story in it and was like, no, I'm reading this, not Callum.
And look, I'm happy to be on the receiving end of anything, frankly. Not anything, but...
It's a different type of birthday gift.
No, come on. All right, okay.
A family listened to this.
That could be anything. We said anything.
After the last couple of episodes, they might not. If they're still hanging around, then what you just heard is pretty par for the course. Those episodes haven't come out yet, but
Well, I look forward to them.
they get pretty bad.
I was going to say, I felt like there was one of the latter jokes of this podcast.
Oh, okay.
Now, Ollie, do you have much experience with Reader's Digest?
No.
Me neither.
I've heard of it.
I'm aware it was a company, club, mailing list or something that helps facilitate notable literary works to get out to their subscribers.
So not like a monster devouring readers, digesting them, if you would.
No.
So this book has a collection of short samplings of stories from books that you might read on this show. So I imagine that any of these stories would come from a single book that would have a lot more content. And these are just watered down, like, highlights, if you will.
Right. Okay. Oh, good. So they've got rid of the chaff.
Basically, yes.
Lovely. The stories you've got for us there are from something else.
Which I will read out when we get started.
When I did see the book, I thought for sure it was more like a UFO book. I didn't think it had anything to do with ghosts necessarily. Although, to be fair, Unexplained is a big umbrella.
Ghosts is only one chapter of this book.
Oh, right.
There are absolutely UFOs in another chapter of this book.
You can borrow it if you want to.
No, I'm good. I think I've digested enough UFO content.
So, our first story is from the book Haunted London by Peter Underwood. I'm led to believe that Peter Underwood is quite a prominent figure in the supernatural writing scene.
Yeah, he would say that, wouldn't he?
Well, he's a member of like the Ghost Hunter Society in England and has many, many books published.
Okay.
I tried to find a copy of Haunted London and I couldn't because it is still for sale everywhere.
Oh, so we can't do it because it can't be secondhand. That's a shame.
Well, this book is secondhand.
It sure is. So let's steal it. I mean, read a story.
The first one I have for you is called The Frozen Fowl of Pond Square.
Lovely.
Fowl?
Yep.
Some sort of bird?
We'll find out.
There's two spellings and meanings of... Okay, which one is it?
We'll find out.
Let there be some mystery.
All right, fine.
The ghost maker in this tale is no less a philosopher than the great Francis Bacon, once Lord Chancellor of England.
Huzzah.
The maker of the... So, is that saying he's the murderer?
He's the, I guess, he's the core of this story. He's the one that we're going to get to the ghost via.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yes, the ghost maker is an interesting phrasing.
Yeah.
Are either of you familiar with Francis Bacon?
Yeah, of course. He wrote all of Shakespeare's works, right?
Big words.
Francis Bacon is a philosopher. He's actually the father of empiricism, which is ironic, I suppose, because empiricism is the belief that true knowledge or justification come only from sensory experiences.
I like this guy already.
Yeah, you see a ghost, therefore it's real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only...
Oh, no. Oh, I don't like where this is going already.
But yes, he was Lord Chancellor of England. And in 1626, when he was 65 years old, he had been convicted of bribery and sentenced to the Tower of London and fined £40,000.
I feel like that'd be a lot for the day.
Yeah, is that £40,000? Is that adjusted or £40,000 in like 1600?
It doesn't say, but we did adjust it, and it's £8.2 million in today money, or 16.4 million Australian dollars.
Tweezers.
Hang on, what was the crime? Bribery? Wow.
Yeah, so his career ended in disgrace when his lifelong nemesis Edward Coke brought forward allegations against him.
Fuck, I wish I had a nemesis.
Basically, he was taking bribes, but he insisted that he did not let this affect his judgment on the cases that he was presiding over.
Yeah, I took bribes, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, because often he didn't let them off. He just took the money and let them go to the Tower of London.
Oh, shit.
So this is...
Okay, hang on, I've got respect for him again now.
Although later pardoned, Bacon was forbidden to hold public office again.
So he got out of jail, probably still has to pay the fine.
Yeah.
Yes, basically he just couldn't pay it off his entire life, the amount of money he owed. The other thing is that he got off because he was basically King James the First's bitch.
Oh, okay.
Like, anything King James the First wanted, this guy was there being like, yes, Your Majesty, yes, we'll do that. And he was just, like, giving in to all these arbitrary things that the king wanted.
I say, Francis, we need more money in the royal coffers. Well, I can take bribes to stop people going for jail. No. Still send them to jail, my good man. There must be punishments for crimes.
Yeah, so Bacon was the Chancellor and Lord Coke was the Lord Chief Justice. So you can understand why he didn't like him taking the bribes and then letting them off.
Yeah. Well, because he wasn't sharing.
Freed from his struggle for worldly powers after he was, kicked out of office and disgraced by everyone and never seen in court again, he turned his mind to the mysteries of the universe and to methods by which a man might solve them.
Sounds like it was a benefit.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was a backup plan.
He was riding through the streets of Highgate one snowy March day in 1626 when a universal mystery occurred to him. Why was the grass that had lain under the snow all winter still green and fresh when his carriage wheels exposed it to the air? Did the snow somehow act as a preservative?
Genuinely don't know the science there.
I mean, a little bit,
grass
yeah.
loves water and cold, right?
I kind of enjoy the fact that a dude whose name is Bacon is interested in preservatives. Does that mean... He's dead, who cares?
It kind of makes a point in sense. I mean, we have fall and, the trees lose their leaves and then they grow back. So why would the grass, devoid of the sunlight, still grow? I'm sure there's good science to back that up.
Well,
as
ice
to
and
why.
snow preserve...
Yeah, I think
freezers?
it's just like the grass has been snap frozen the same way that when you pull a packet of stir-fried veggies out of the freezer. My God, they're still green.
Oh, I guess there's those frogs that can hibernate.
Yeah.
Bacon instantly stopped his carriage at Pond Square and ordered his coachman to buy a chicken from a farm nearby.
Hang on, this isn't a mystery that needs to be solved today, Bacon.
Yes, it is. Next, he had the coachman kill the bird, pluck off most of its feathers, and clean out the abdominal cavity.
Oh, so it's that kind of fowl. Hang on, he's preparing this chicken to be eaten, right? You
Sacrifice the
pluck it,
sales.
pull its guts out. That's
More like a satanic ritual.
no. This is just Christmas Eve.
Then, to the amazement of a small crowd pressing around him, Bacon stooped down and began stuffing the bird with snow. This done, he put it in a sack and filled the sack with more snow.
This is not the invention of refrigeration. Is it? Amber, we're meant to be reading about ghosts. Like,
Yeah,
this
well,
is
we're getting
cool.
it.
But...
Surely, refrigeration has been invented.
Yes, I think using ice for
Yeah.
cooling things down has been used for a long time.
Yes.
Snow, not quite so much.
Yeah, when I was briefly in Russia, the only time I've been to Russia has been during winter, and where it's been like -20 outside, and they use their balconies as freezers.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
Just fun fact,
And
Do you ever leave whole chickens out there?
I bet you they would.
yeah, no, I actually do want the answer to that. What did the passers-by think here?
Yeah, presumably they do know this man. He is the Lord Chancellor of England, like one of King James I's favourites.
And they know he's had a rough couple of years, and he's 65. If I were watching this, I'd be like, I think someone needs to keep a bit more of an eye on Francis here.
I feel like back in those days, they probably had other things to worry about. Like
There's a man putting a chicken in a bag in the square. All right, I'm not doing anything. I'll go.
I'll be right there! This is the funniest thing I've seen all winter.
While he was treating the chicken in this unnatural way, a fit of shivering seized him and he collapsed on the snow.
No shit, Bacon! This is why you wait. This might be the most egregious sequence of poor decisions we've had for a long time. Not forever, but for a long time.
He was taken to the home of his friend Lord Arundel and died there within a few days.
Oh, bugger.
Who could have seen that coming?
Yes,
Hang on.
Pneumonia got him in the end.
Ah, shocker.
Now, there is a lot of we won't maybe not get into it on this podcast, but there's a lot of conspiracy around whether or not this friend of his treated him properly and if that led to the death. Like, he wasn't put in front of a fire, is what the servants at the time seemed to say.
Well, no, he's just come up with this theory that ice will preserve things, and if he's on his deathbed, well, let's give him his wishes. Hey, roll him in the snow.
I had a weird theory about myself the other day.
Uh-oh.
It was that, some people have sometimes told me that they think that I look a bit young for my age. And I wondered whether or not, because I spent so much time in air conditioning, like preserving myself,
Hang on, I've got a joke.
I mean,
You've got a joke,
you're not
but you
out
have
in
to
the sun
Google
as
it.
much, you're not getting burnt as much.
Oh, yeah,
you're
I'm not.
getting-
No.
Yeah, not like if you were out in the sun all day you'd get all leathery and...
Yeah, I've very much cut myself off from my family. The last time I saw my family, though, was at a funeral, and I bumped into a cousin of mine who was born in the same year as me. So we were exactly the same age. And he looked about 20 years older than me. It was just like all leather. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, how you take care of yourself matters.
Yeah, stay in that air conditioning. Dr. Munoz. I was hoping Amber might get that one.
Well, how about you explain the joke to us, Callum?
Is there anything worse than having to explain the joke?
Dr. Munoz is the name of the doctor in H.P. Lovecraft's story Cool Air, about a doctor who has died but is keeping his body alive through the wonders of air conditioning that had been invented the previous year in
Really?
New York. Oh.
Right, there you go.
And then there's a power cut and he melts on the couch.
It reminded me of there was like some health guru that has this strong belief in spending time outside in the snow. Yeah, Wim Hof.
Wim Hof.
Yeah. He says that cold therapies are the way to go.
He was
Building up
influential there
brown
for
fat.
Yeah, he was influential there for a while. Don't look up what he's been doing lately.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's alright, I've put my phone down now. Look that up on your own time, listener. Let's get back to this story about Francis Bacon wrestling a turkey in the snow.
What happened to Lord Bacon after he died, nobody knows. But the chicken, bound, it seems, to the environs of Pond Square by the sudden outrage that befell it, has been frequently seen there since its death.
Outrage!
Oh no. Not the ghost of Francis Bacon, but the ghost of the chicken. It's just bocking away. Preserved by the snow. Spirit preserved by the snow.
Poor Francis goes out to investigate.
Father of empiricism, you can only trust what you can see.
First scientific experiment gone wrong. I mean, his first experiment gone wrong.
We don't know what he was doing in the Tower of London. Going out to prove one mysterious facet of the universe, only to spawn a story about a ghost chicken. Jesus.
Stripped of its feathers and shivering, It invariably half runs and half flaps away in circles.
Oh no.
It was a big Whittish bird, according to Mrs. John Greenhill, who resided at Pond Square during World War II, and often saw the chicken on moonlit nights.
World War shit, that lasts a while.
Aircraftman Terence Long was another witness, also during the war. He was crossing the square one night when he heard the sound of hooves and carriage wheels. He looked around but saw nothing except a shivering, half-naked chicken flapping pathetically in circles.
Oh, I don't think I've ever felt this bad for a ghost before.
I think it's actually the first animal ghost that we've had from a book. Is that right?
Oh, it might be.
Apart from horses pulling carriages
Oh, that's a good point.
in
Yeah.
Haunted Inns.
Yeah. No, my bad. Bad.
That might have been one of your first episodes,
Oh,
though,
good
I
pick
think.
up though. Like,
I can't believe I forgot about that whole phenomena, considering how many stories I've rejected that have phantom carriages since. But
the clopping.
I guess I just assumed that there's a ghost driver of the ghost carriage that's being drawn by ghost horses. It's like a whole package deal. But this is just a chicken.
Just a chicken
Has it?
being wronged.
It's been.
Stripped of its dignity, half plucked.
You can make me turn vegetarian if we keep going. Is there more to
Yeah,
this
yeah.
poor chicken? Oh no!
An air raid precautions fire watcher came along and told Aircraftsman Long that the bird was a habitué of the square. A man had tried to snare it a month or two earlier, he had said, but it had disappeared into a brick wall.
This is like during the Blitz, right?
Yes.
They're hungry.
It's
Yeah, you're picking up what I'm laying down. This is like a cartoon. They're out there watching like the family dog run around and it just mirages itself into a headless chicken before their eyes.
I do think it's interesting that we suddenly go from 1600s to, and now it's 1943.
It's been around for a long time, that chicken.
Yeah, there's no stories in between.
No.
Nothing that's written in the book here. Maybe the original version of this story before Reader's Digest got their editorial hands on it.
We are going to jump forward now.
Again?
One January night in
to 2,382?
1969, a motorist who was delayed in Pond Square with car trouble noticed a large white bird near a wall. Seeing that most of its feathers had been plucked, and thinking that a gang of youths might have abused the bird, he looked about him before going to rescue the poor creature. But when he turned back, the bird was gone.
Gee, can you think of anything that might have been happening around 1969 that would cause anyone to hallucinate?
I feel like we're seeing such a pattern of behavior here. Could they have all hallucinated the same half-plucked chicken? You know what? I'm gonna.
Okay, well, I guess if everyone's hallucinating the same thing, is that any different to a ghost?
All I'm saying is I'm edging towards solid evidence for this half-plucked chicken.
Transparent evidence.
A year later in February...
Oh god, there's more!
A year later in February, a young man and woman were saying goodnight to each other when a big white bird alighted noiselessly on the ground beside them. It ran twice in a circle and then vanished into the darkness. The end.
The inclusion of big in that last one. I don't know about you, Ollie, but I'm no longer thinking a chicken this size. I'm thinking Sesame Street.
I know, it was a big... I said whitish earlier. It was a big whitish bird, according to Mrs. John Greenhill. They all said it was big.
Okay.
I find your lack of faith disturbing. Believe in the big white chicken.
I mean, if...
That's the episode quote! Sorry.
I mean, if you knew that at one point someone had taken a bird and half plucked it and set it free in the square as a goat, I was thinking prank.
Oh my god. This whole time I've been picturing it headless. But nowhere did it actually say that, did it? Oh my god. Oh, this is the best prank ever. Amber, can we go back to the UK?
Do you think there'd be a lot more chicken ghosts if it wasn't for the fact that they took the heads off? Maybe that's the key. Like if you killed a chicken,
if you pluck them while they're alive, then they get so traumatized they become a ghost.
Not a suggestion.
I think, not that I'm agreeing that this is a ghost, because I'm very partial to this prank idea. But I think most of the time, chickens, are they normally slaughtered in public parks?
I would say no.
Probably on a private premises.
Well, no,
at
because there
best,
was a
right?
farm nearby, so they'd gone to get it and brought it back.
Yeah. So if you go to the farm, maybe there's half a dozen big white chicken ghosts running around, but they just kind of get lost in the mass of feathers that are the regular chickens.
Right. Just wondering whether or not chickens were just more prone to becoming ghosts under certain conditions that we were just previously unaware of.
That is a fantastic question, Ollie. We should call Francis Bacon. Oh, he's dead. All right. Do you want to pick an MVP per story, or do one
Oh,
at the
definitely
end of
per,
them all?
no, definitely per story.
Per story. All right. That sounds like you have one in mind for this one already.
Oh, it's definitely the chicken.
The chicken. Okay. Is that just like a consolation award? Like, poor thing. Here, have a.
Oh, no, I think
prize.
the fact that that chicken has survived in spirit form for so long, terrifying generations of patrons in that spot, deserves accolades.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
Because he didn't know how to cross to the other side.
But
Oh, wow.
kept disappearing into the wall.
It did, didn't it? What about you, Amber? You got an MVP?
I think it's going to be Edward Coke, who was just trying to do right by England.
Yeah.
Imagine the victory he celebrated when he found out that Francis Bacon died stuffing a chicken.
You don't want to win like that, though, do you? Like, if you've got a nemesis, you want to defeat them in the field
Well,
of battle.
He did. He got him disgraced and £40,000 in fines.
No, that's sad.
I feel like I've had nemesis, but
Multiple.
I think it just could be all in my head.
Much like the chicken.
And you, Callum?
Damn fine question. I think I'm going to go with Sir Francis Bacon's manservant, or butler, or coach driver, or whoever was with him, for being like, yes, Mr. Bacon, I will go to that farm. Yes, Mr. Bacon, I'll pick you up a chicken. Odd request for this time of day in this location, but sure. Mr. Bacon, what are you doing to that chicken? Help, Francis Bacon's plucking a chicken. And the only response he got is, oh, God, let's have a look.
But he's seen worse.
He was looking for a new job by the end of the week.
You probably, yeah. I think, who was it? Abigail, or the guy's house Bacon went to?
Oh, yes. It was Aundel.
Aundel. I think he would have been offered a job by Aundel. Quick smart if he kept his mouth shut, wouldn't he? I kind of want to start picking an evil MVP for an episode because it's him for this one.
Francis Bacon.
No, the Aundel bloke. It's
Okay.
like, oh, come in from the cold, Francis. I'll take care of you.
It's a conspiracy. No one could agree because no one believed if the servants were telling the truth or not.
Oh, so you're saying that story might not be 100% real?
It is true that Francis Bacon died of pneumonia from trying to stuff a chicken full of snow in a field. That is a historical fact. He did die that way.
Oh, no. Okay.
Whether or not his death was preventable is the conspiracy.
I think he was living on borrowed time at best.
I feel like it was definitely preventable in one way or another.
I hope someone ate that chicken at the end of the day.
Well, it
Surely
said
not.
what happened to the chicken, no one knows.
Yeah, I hope one of the peasants being like,
Well, it went inside the
look, if-
wall, right?
if nobody wants that chicken...
Well, whoever
Whatever.
lived on the other side of that brick wall took it. Because it kept going in and out of that.
Didn't it? Because the chicken was presumably... no, they definitely killed the chicken.
Yes, and took out all its inside. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, scrub that idea.
I mean, it's dark, but, it could
Ollie,
be...
this is a podcast about ghosts.
I was going to say that it could be reflective of the trauma. When we do slaughter animals, we tend to do it humanely for the most part. Don't quote me on that necessarily. But I'd say that with chickens, for instance, it's like tend to be like a relatively clean death. Whereas like that was not.
No, that was public humiliation.
So I think it could be a reflection of that trauma that the spirit remained to pass on that trauma to other people.
A fair theory. Do we want to take a little break before heading on?
All right.
All right,
Do we want to move on to the next one?
let's do story number 2. It's got some big boots to fill.
Right. It's called The Major's Revenge. and it's by Charles G. Harper from Haunted Houses.
Okay.
Now,
Major's Revenge. We haven't had many military ghosts before, have we?
What a damn shame.
Yeah.
now, this one I did find an online copy of the book for on the Internet Archive, so I have found an extra segment that was not included in the Reader's Digest book that I will include.
Oh, mysterious. Like
I don't know why they cut it. I'm guessing for space and time.
I was going to say, is that allowed or?
it's Reader's Digest.
That's the point of Reader's Digest, so yeah.
So you could go and read that news article, or you could watch the TikTok.
Alright. In 1876, Major Stewart died at Bolletchen House in Perthshire, Scotland.
Perthshire! Hey! It's been a while since we've had a story from Perthshire. Aww. We should do more Elliot O'Donnell stories. They're fun.
He had lived there for more than 40 years, and during that period had acquired something of a reputation for eccentricity. This seems to have been based on nothing more extreme than a belief in spirits, a firm conviction in the transmigration of souls, and an unusual fondness for dogs, of which he had 14 at the time of his death.
Okay, I was waiting.
So that sounds like a perfectly normal person, except for maybe all the dogs.
Yeah, what was it? 18?
14.
14? That sounds absolutely normal for 1814. Until.
Who walks all these dogs?
Well, normally if you've got that many dogs, you've got like a houndmaster on staff or something, but it sounds like that's not the case.
He even declared that, if possible, he wished to return to Earth after his death as the tenant of the body of his favourite black spaniel.
Okay, he's a lunatic.
Okay, yeah, so I looked this up. His family...
Sounds fair to me.
His family hated him for this because it's all he talked about. And he went on and on and on. So when he did die, his family, out of fear that he would return as one of the dogs, destroyed all the dogs.
Aww.
Because they did not want him to come back as one of the dogs.
Ding dong, the bitch is dead.
Do you know the difference
Which old bitch? All of them. Sorry.
Do you know the difference between crazy and eccentric?
Money, dear
Money,
boy.
yes.
But in doing so, the family made a serious mistake.
Oh no, he came back as a cat. Or
Is
ghost,
this-
I guess, probably.
Is this another animal one?
It is.
Are we gearing up to something?
Maybe. Yeah, an interview soon with... Oh, I see.
The first signs of something amiss in the house occurred not long after the Major's nephew, who had inherited this place, moved in with his wife. This lady was in the habit of balancing her housekeeping books in the room the Major had used as a study.
I know what that phrase means. I know how to balance a book. But I cannot possibly move past the mental image of this woman walking through the room with a bunch of books on her head while one of this Major's ghost dogs comes running through.
So as opposed to accounting?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Whoops! I wasn't trying to avoid tax, I swear it was the ghosts.
One day, busy with her books, she suddenly and quite unmistakably smelled the doggy odour of the old room.
14 dogs is going to leave an odour impression on a room, isn't it?
I was going to say, yeah, like it'd probably be deep in the bowels of the house or like the walls, like the scent would have been.
Yeah.
It would leave an imprint, that's for sure.
All it would take was to open a cupboard or the drawing desk, one of those rolled up ones. Woof!
Then worse, something invisible pushed her. Somehow, she felt that whatever had pushed her was an animal.
How could she tell? Little paws on her back.
Other disquieting things happened. There were noises that could not be accommodated for. Knockings, explosions, sometimes arguing voices, and when no people were around either.
One of these things is very much not like the other.
I was going to say, yeah.
Imagine knockings in a large estate house.
Oh, that's not what I'm worried about, Amber. Look, we've just had the Christmas period.
Mm-hmm.
Distant explosions. Could be fireworks, maybe?
Do you know, oddly enough, where I live, we have fireworks semi-regularly.
I can believe it. You're near town.
Yeah. We often have events at that park. I'm not sure what it's called. Could be.
Anyway,
Could be.
I probably shouldn't dox where you live.
I don't mind. The one,
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. There were always like fairs there and circuses and such stuff that we don't go to.
Imagine living in and not going to the events.
But yeah, I don't know. Just a fun fact, we often have fireworks. I just hear them, don't go out and look at them or anything fun like that.
And probably they're not happening at around the same time when you're attempting to do your accounting.
There's also a strangely large amount of fireworks that go off at the beach on New Year's.
I don't think any amount of fireworks at the beach is strange, but continue.
I was going to say that, which must be like clearly attained illegally.
Yes.
I've always wondered how.
No,
I've never had any fireworks contacts.
You can just probably the during. I didn't say that. No, you can't.
You guys are giving me a workout with the editing bleeping this week, aren't you?
Anyway, back to the story. In 1896...
Firework goes off, all 14 dog ghosts start barking at once. Sorry, 1846.
96.
96.
Borletchen House was said to be haunted, but its estates were wide, the grouse were plentiful, and the new owner, a Captain Stewart, had no difficulty that August in renting the house and shooting rights for the season to wealthy people devoted to the sport.
The first guy was a Major Stewart, yes?
Yes.
So I guess the family stayed in the military, that's nice.
His nephew took it over.
Yeah.
And then, this is a different... Captain Stewart. Major Stewart. Captain Stewart. Yes.
So I'm assuming this is maybe the nephew's son who's taken it over after that. Because this is a good, 50 years?
We'll get
plus.
there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
although,
literally the next sentence.
This is Perthshire. There's probably Stuart on every corner.
Whether he warned them of the house's reputation is not recorded. He had acquired the house only the year before, when the old Major's nephew had been knocked down and killed by a London cab.
Huh.
I know this is a bit of
What's it doing in Perthshire? Sorry, Ollie.
No, I was going to say, I know this is a bit of a throwback to a previous part, but I just thought to myself, like surely they could have given the dogs away. You know, it wouldn't matter if you like haunted a dog in a different household.
But what if?
What if we'd come back as one of them and walked back to the house?
Fair enough.
I don't know.
The Major's ghost comes out of his body, zooms cross-country into one of his beloved dogs, and it homeward bounds itself back to the house.
I do love the idea, though, as a family. At what point, who breaks the ice of being like, so we're definitely getting rid of those dogs, right? Like, he can't come back as one of those things.
It always reminds me of, there's been some historical accounts where there's been like serial killer couples, and I've always like thought like, what a weird thing to have to bring up to a partner. Like, so yeah, so I'm thinking about maybe just murder. Like,
do you like that? Do you want to do that with me?
Just floating the idea.
Look at that homeless man that no one would know if they went missing or...
Wow, guys. No, I assume it's like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith situation, but with serial killers. Like they're both secretly trying to keep their hobby away from the other one, but
and then they figure out that they both like the same thing, and it's just love, you know.
Yeah, they both got bloodied shirts in the laundry.
Both like this. It's like a homeless guy walking around a corner. One's chasing him, trying to stab him. The other's hiding around the corner. They both stab him at the same time, and their eyes meet.
Oh, you're a serial killer! Thank God! I thought you were having an affair.
With this guy.
In any event, the tenants moved in. They had paid in advance for the rental for several months, but soon they were pushed and snuffled at, and half scared to death by animals they could not see.
That sounds kind of cute.
Yeah.
Oh, and then left in a month, but they'd already paid the 7 months deposit. Oh, non-refundable. What a shame.
They stayed a few weeks and moved out, forfeiting their money.
What a fucking racket. It's real estate scam again. How many times has that been?
But I like the cute snuffling dog ghost.
Yeah, I know, right?
I wouldn't leave.
Little like cheek licks through the night.
Oh, if it is a ghost dog, that's a little bit cute. But if it's not, and it is a real estate scam, it's just the owners of the house snuffling around at night, giving kisses to fate. No. Oh, this is way creepier than anything we've had so far.
When the Marquis of Bute heard of the goings-on at Borletchen, the urge to investigate overcame him. He had a deep interest in spiritualism and was a member of the Psychical Research Society.
Yes! And had 7 months' rent burning a hole in his pocket.
With Captain Stewart's approval, he rented the house with a Major Le Monsieur Taylor and other members of the society and prepared for an on-the-spot investigation.
I feel like that's what people used to do before video games. They just joined societies.
Held seances.
Sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Invented titles like Captain Le Monsieur. Does that just mean Captain the Mister?
Taylor.
Captain the Mr. Taylor. Yeah, well, that's his job. What's this guy's name?
In due course, the Marquis, the Major, and a Miss Goodrich Freer
Hang on, I'm sorry. What? Can we take that sentence a little more slowly so I can figure out which of these characters is which Cluedo character?
In due course, the Marquis, the Major, and a Miss Goodrich Freer gathered 35 guests at Boletchen.
Well, you know she's wealthy. It's rich. It's in the name.
They brought them there under the pretense that it was a house party, and most of the guests knew nothing of Boletchen's reputation.
Hey, if you're throwing a party, well, in this day and age, if you're throwing a party and you say, by the way, we're going to be holding a seance, do you think that would attract more or less people?
Now,
Yeah.
you could charge about $80 a ticket for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. So back then, was that about £2 a ticket?
At first, the consensus among the guests was that owls and water pipes, and perhaps the servants, were making the noises. When it became obvious that the raps and muffled explosions, the sound of shuffling feet, of quarrelling voices, and someone interminably reading aloud...
The worst crime of them all! Read in your head, Greg. I can't.
They were too much of a production for a forest full of owls, an army of servants, and the world's most versatile water pipes. The guests began to accuse each other.
This sounds like a lot of noise, but it sounds like the right amount of noise for 35 people plus a house full of servants, right?
It also sounds like our Ouija board episode. Everyone's accusing everybody else.
A little bit.
Or just me. I don't know.
Yeah, it was absolutely you. Go listen to, what was that, Halloween 2024.
But the ghosts of Boletchen were not deterred. Something was heard to beat powerfully against the bedroom doors, and a black spaniel, which seemed to congeal out of the very air and melt into nothing, was seen by nearly everyone in the house.
Everyone? All 35 people plus...
Congealed into the air, Callum.
There's a certain amount of credulity that a handful of people will give the story.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you're claiming that everyone in the house saw it, I feel like someone
You have to
played
call
silly
that it
buggers.
actually happened, because that's what I'm doing.
No, that's one person saying I saw a dog. Oh, me too, me too, me too, me three, me four.
To be nudged and sniffed at by the invisible dogs and to hear invisible tails thumping against the wainscot was the common lot of all the guests. One night, a lady sharing a bedroom with another lady was awakened by a whimpering of her pet dog. She followed the animal's gaze to the bedside table. Resting on it were two black paws, each ending in thin air.
That's an awful lot coming at us at the sentence. Let's move aside from the 1870s possible secret lesbian tryst going on,
Yes.
which could explain the whimpering.
No,
did
they
you-
had a real dog in the room with them.
Okay, that is where I was getting
She
to.
had a dog that was whimpering and looking at a different part of the room, and when she looked, she saw ghost paws of a different dog.
Oh, we're going to take a wild guess as to what colour and breed that dog might have been.
No. Should I? What?
I suspect it might be a black spaniel.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but wait,
Oh.
because the part that this book left out that I found in the original book.
Oh,
yes.
I forgot.
Okay.
Because he wanted to come back as the Black Spaniel?
Yeah.
Right, sorry.
Well, no, it's just, no people said...
Let the team
All
down.
35 people said they saw a black spaniel in that room. It's entirely possible they saw a real black spaniel that was owned by two of the guests.
Well,
Could it be the ghost of the Major, but he's come back and he's wanted to appear as the Spaniel?
No. Ridiculous. Absurd.
So she didn't own a black spaniel, but
The woman she was sharing a room with did.
one of the guests, who, suffering one day from a severe headache, was trying to pass the time with setting up a camera in one of the rooms. He, strange to say, had a black spaniel of his own in the house.
Huh.
Same room with the camera, do you think?
Well, he thought he saw it run across the room. It looked larger, though, he thought, than his own dog. And then he saw his own dog run into the room after it, and wag its tail and be seen to be pleased as if meeting someone.
There's a mirror in the room.
Casual mention of the incident elicited the fact that there was no other corporeal spaniel in or about the place.
Oh, just the one. Where could the other one have come from?
So
The ghost spaniel. Ghost black spaniel.
I do
Get
love,
on board.
Spectre Spaniel.
Thank you.
I love that they cut that bit from the Reader's Digest. Like, they were like,
Yeah.
don't mention that someone had a black spaniel in the house that weekend when everyone was seeing a phantom black spaniel running around the place.
I think we've just had a little microcosm of the entire realm of ghost stories.
I do think that having a large party was 35?
Yeah.
35 guests.
guests?
I think 35 guests, plus the 3 hosts,
35 witnesses.
plus a house full of servants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tick.
Well, another night, a gentleman saw a disembodied hand clutching a crucifix floating in the air at the foot of his bed.
That's clearly got to be a different ghost.
That's
not a dog.
wandered in from a different story.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I was going to say.
A lone nun was seen weeping in the glen beyond the house. And then
Okay, we're just making shit up now.
Maybe it's a ley line.
And then 2 nuns were seen together. A nun, possibly a sister of the old major, had died 16 years before at this house.
There's 2 of them now.
Cavorting.
By the,
Were these the 2 women in the bedroom?
by the time the house party came to an end, all but one of the 35 guests
Oh.
were convinced that Belechin House was haunted.
Hang on, I'm sorry. This all allegedly happened in the same evening?
Yeah.
I think maybe they did put some notices out
Well-
about, hey, come to this party. Also, we're going to be looking for ghosts. We're going to have some canapes and some drinks and maybe a couple of rounds of canasta and a seance.
What do you
Bring
think?
your pets.
What do you think the motivation of the seance would be? Is it, well, you know, they're not charging for tickets.
No, but
They're
they're
not
charging
selling-
for rent if anyone wants to come and rent the house and see ghosts for themselves.
Right.
So
So
that's
do you
not
think...
them. So the Psychical Research Society hired the house from the captain.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not charging people.
I think we've heard enough stories where the Centre for Psychical Research is absolutely 100% way too believing of this stuff and are easy marks for people who put out a shingle saying, oh, whoops, my house is haunted. Hey, Centre for Psychical Research, can you come and investigate my house? Here's the rates.
If I was being skeptical, I would say that they wanted more members and funding.
Yeah? Yep, agreed. Let's go with that too.
Whether or not the Marquis and his co-host received thank you notes is not recorded. The end.
Well, that's the worst crime of all this evening.
Not receiving a thank you
Kill
note.
14 dogs? Nah, whatever. Don't thank your host. Shun them. Lock them in a tower. Give them the Francis Bacon treatment.
I love that story. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd love to be snuffled by ghost dogs. I think that would be cute.
You were snuffled by a real dog
I know,
whenever
because-
whenever he wants.
My MVP is the Major.
Who annoyed his family so much with continuous talk of, I'm going to be that dog when I come back. When I die, I'm coming into my dog's body. Like,
Oh, Amber, gross.
okay, fine. When I die, I'm taking over that dog's body.
Okay.
I will say that my wife has often joked that if she were to die, that she'd love to come back as a Burmese cat because it just has such a chill life. Our one particularly lives the life of leisure.
Yeah, I guess I would like to come back as something that can lick its own butthole.
Wow.
That's the dream.
Wow.
See?
No, I was making a joke. I definitely wasn't agreeing.
Oh, Callum, who was your MVP?
Yeah, I think it's got to be this guy who's been like, oh, dear, come to this house. And no, it wasn't the same guy, was it?
Marquis of Butte, the guy who...
Through the party.
Yeah.
Yeah? Was he renting the house and
Yes.
through the party?
He rented it from the captain.
Okay, so it's the captain then, who's happy to just rent this.
his
He's
money.
essentially got like, in any 7-month time span, he can have 7 different people renting it, well, paying him rent for the house and not living in it. What a racket that is.
My MVP is the person who decided to bring it up with the rest of the family. that what if he did come back as the dog?
Oh god.
The first person, like,
But what if though? Because I don't want that for some reason.
how long do you think they waited?
No, immediately. I think.
Immediately.
Yeah, so someone has to be the one that wins hearts and minds, don't they?
Oh dear.
Now, how are we going for time? Are we doing a third shorter one, or
I'm good if you want to keep going.
Yeah, how's
we're at
recording
50.
time going?
We're at 57 at the moment. We've done worse.
No, I'm happy to do.
this one's a shorter one than the other two?
third?
And I promise doesn't have any animals in it.
Aww. That's probably a good thing. We need to get our minds out of the animal gutter, don't we?
I've enjoyed it, considering we are, considering an interview with an animal medium.
Yeah.
Then I think it's apt that we put some more animal ghost stories out there.
Agreed. Laying the foundation.
Alright, ready for the last one?
Let's do it.
You tell us, are we? Do we need to steel ourselves for...
Happenings at the Rectory.
Okay.
In early August 1919, oil began to spurt from the walls and ceilings of Swanton Nova's Rectory in Norfolk.
No, it didn't. Oil?
Oil, that is. Black gold. Texas tea.
Let's get into this a little bit. Maybe it was just an act of nature up until this point. Like, we don't know if it's blood.
Nature makes oil come out of a wall?
Burst oil pipes.
In 1919?
Well,
I could find entirely within this kitchen.
Yes. May I see it? No.
Seymour! The house is on fire!
I can tell you though, at the very least, like, you'd think they'd be happy, right? Getting barrels out. Like, it probably goes for a high price back then.
Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there.
Yeah, they would have just been
The
starting
war.
to carve up Arab states to get oil rights, I think. Yeah.
Where did this oil come from? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. All right, keep reading.
At first, it was supposed that the house stood over a natural oil well, and that the liquid was being soaked up by the walls and then somehow ejected.
Don't you nod smugly at me, Ollie.
I said, like, there is, people are going to at least refer to maybe some sort of natural phenomenon.
Huh?
Was there oil rationing and things like that in the war? We're 1919. If you had a lot of oil that you need to pretend you didn't know where it came from.
Yeah, well...
Because it was kind of against the law to be hoarding. But when the oil was found to be refined gasoline, this theory was abandoned.
Okay. Yeah, these walls are not a refinery.
Ready?
Sounds like free petrol to me.
Showers of water, methylated spirits, and sandalwood oil followed.
Huh.
What?
At one point, the oil flow was at a rate of a quart every 10 minutes.
Huh.
Quart is a quarter of a pint, I think?
Yeah.
A quart is actually a quarter of a gallon, equal to 2 pints, or approximately 1.13 litres.
Like butters,
So-
what used to be measured in quarts, didn't they? No, milk. Quart of milk.
Surely someone's making a business out of this.
This is so strange, I can't figure out what the scam is.
Can even think of the label. Ghost oil.
Like, I don't even... Is this even ghosts?
Here we go. The rector, Reverend Hugh Guy, was soon obliged to move his furnishings into another house. Now, who would you call in to solve this issue?
Ghostbusters? No, sorry.
Well, a rector is a priest, isn't he?
Yeah.
So shouldn't he be able to solve this himself? All right. So you're saying that in 1919, this rector has... Well, he might not know it's a haunting, but something going on in his house that he doesn't know how to deal with.
Maybe he lacked the faith in the Lord.
That was just a job for him.
It was just a job for him.
Yeah.
And then he started doing things that he was not particularly proud of because he lacked faith. And then God was punishing him.
Such as stealing refined oil.
Stealing refined oil.
Methylated spirits,
Oh
yeah.
no, these things are all lubricants, aren't they?
Well,
I was
water, isn't
so-
it? Sandalwood oil?
I was really, really trying really hard to avoid anything down that road. I'm sure you saw me struggle.
You gotta move all the furniture around, set up a little slip and slide across the lounge room.
But yeah.
Into an underage girl.
Go.
Whatever takes you fancy, I suppose.
He's a priest. Never mind.
Sorry, Ollie. No, you had a point
Not anymore.
that you were trying to get.
All right, are you ready? No one be sipping a drink.
Is it guessable?
I mean,
1919.
no, you probably won't.
The timing might be wrong, but what if it was like Oscar Wilde or something?
A magician and his wife,
Yes!
a Mr. and Mrs. Oswald Williams, went to the rectory to investigate.
Oh, let me just bask in this one for a minute.
Oswald billed himself as England's foremost illusionist, designing and building his own illusions.
Priest is out, magician's in.
Imagine calling them in. Who am I going to sort this out? I don't know what to do. Had to move all my furniture. You know what you need to do? Get a magician in.
Well, I mean, if you did, look, hypothetically, like if you did think that it was an illusion, because like surely if oil started pouring through your wall right now, you may think it's an illusion. Like you'd think it's coming from somewhere, right? And if you couldn't figure out where it is, especially someone as skeptical as yourself, you would say that there's a reason that it's happening, that it could be some sort of elaborate illusion. So maybe an illusionist could be the person to call.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track there.
However, I still think the priest lacks faith and should have taken care of it himself.
Yeah.
I agree with that. No, I think that the magician is the one responsible for all of this. The rector.
Spenny prank. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I can't tell why this is all happening, but the rector and the magician are in cahoots.
Okay.
And the magician needs to keep coming in and out of the house to like refill the reservoir of oil or frankincense or whatever bullshit is going on this week. And someone keeps seeing this magician sneaking in and out of the house, and the priest is like, "Oh yeah, I couldn't take care of it myself, so I called a magician. That's why he's coming in and out of my house all the time." Yep, absolutely that.
Right, so now the priest is banging the magician? Is that where
I'm sorry, did you say banging?
I did say banging, yes.
Ah.
So is that where we're at, or did I skip a beat?
No, I don't know what the scam is. I don't know
Okay,
why
right.
they're doing this. And the magician does have a wife,
Sure.
and the rector does have a homemade slip and slide.
Well, I'll be the first one to admit that there's nothing that's jumping out at me that's saying this is an actual haunting as of yet.
No, I'm curious to see how a ghost comes into all this, if indeed one does.
So this was also a story that I found the book that it was from, which I hadn't mentioned. This is from the complete books of Charles Fort.
Okay.
Good old Charles.
Charles Fort, amateur magician. Magician to the church.
Magician to the church. Professional magician.
Is there any other kind? Well, to be professional, you have to make money from it, right? So there's probably quite a lot of non-professional magicians.
I've seen some pretty good magic tricks in my time.
All right. So the magicians, putting pails of salted water about, they hid and watched.
What's going on?
I'm going to read a little bit from the book itself. While in hiding, they saw the housemaid, aged 15, enter the house, which for several days had been unoccupied, and throw a glass of water, which they had salted, to a ceiling, and then started crying that another shower had occurred. They had shut off the water supply in the house and had placed around glasses and pails of salted water so that they could identify what water had been used.
Okay, so they've put a bunch of barrels around the place that look like fresh water, but it's actually salty water.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right, if salty water starts dripping from the ceiling, then we know someone's doing this sneaky. And then they actually just see this woman walk in, dip a glass into one of these barrels and just chuck it at the roof. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah?
And then she started telling everyone that water was falling from the roof again.
Yeah, okay. But the rector comes home and he says, I don't have a 15-year-old housemaid.
Well, no. The girl denied it and said that she'd been beaten by the magician to confess.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, I don't know what is really going on, because they just decide to pin it on this housemaid.
I guess.
Rather than ever actually endeavour to, find the truth.
What is
feel like
anyone trying to get out of this, though?
I don't know, but in one way or another, this housemaid's a victim. That's. I feel like she's definitely a victim of something.
I think the real victim is the wallpaper at this point.
The magicians did go to the newspapers with the story of their success and that they'd caught the scullery maid, and then she came out and said that she'd been beaten by them, and so there was a lot of skepticism going around about what actually happened.
Meanwhile, the priest is just like cooking the books and getting away with tax evasion in the background. No one's really looking that hard.
I'm just trying to think of the logic here. So they're saying that they put barrels around the place, and then she's walked in and seen the barrels, and like, let's say in theory she'd actually did it.
Yeah.
Then she grabbed a glass of water and then she splashed it onto the roof.
Yeah.
So were there barrels of petroleum like sitting in there before? Like where?
No, the magicians just set her up.
No, but like, does that like prove the pattern of what happened before? Like, where's she getting the petroleum and sandalwood?
So when another investigator spoke to the woman, they determined that the amount of liquid that had been found before, it would be impossible for a human to splash that much up there.
I think the scullery maid got beaten.
I can splash a lot of water on the ceiling if you want me to and give me enough time. What's
A
impossible?
quart every 10 minutes? I suppose a quart every 10 minutes isn't that
Quart
much.
every 10 minutes. Quart every 10 seconds. You give me enough glasses.
Anyway, the foreman of an oil company went to check the house and caught 2 gallons of oil in 4 hours. And a second magician-turned-investigator stated that he observed the flow of barrels of oil during his visit to the premises.
This didn't even happen, did it?
The source of the oil was never determined.
There's sauce coming out of it now, too.
But it seemed unlikely that the
ketchup
girl could
today.
have handled such copious quantities of it. The end.
What?
I still think the scullery maid got beaten. I don't think she was the culprit.
No,
getting a single
definitely
glass
not.
of-
I think a journalist determined she was not.
Yeah, there's a conspiracy going on here. I don't know which group of people it is or what they're trying to get from it.
I wonder if the priest and the magician couple were in it together, and the magician wanted to do an elaborate illusion and solve it, but fumbled the...
But then did it keep happening afterwards, though?
Yeah.
So, but if they were in cahoots...
oh, true. Why did it keep going?
Yeah, it's... Or maybe to start with, they were in cahoots and they started the illusion, and then the ghost took over.
I love that at no point...
Don't introduce a ghost into this mess, too.
I love that at no point does it mention that a ghost was involved. It's just implied because it's in the ghost section of the book.
We have had stories like that before, I feel. Do you remember it was the one where it was like raining inside? Was that-
Yeah. It wasn't just raining inside. It was raining rocks inside.
That's right. It was raining rocks inside. So we've definitely attributed stuff happening like that without ghostly presence, just like random things, kind of like The Shining, blood just coming out of the walls. You know,
At least
the
rocks
sun's
is
not oil.
consistent. This is... I don't...
You didn't like that one, did you?
I am utterly baffled. Yeah,
He didn't like the rocks coming out of the ceiling either. I loved it personally.
That one was just small and mad.
I'd ask what your MVP is here, but
Maid, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna
Most
give it up for the
valuable-
maid.
I think so.
She deserves it.
Yeah, poor woman got beaten. Like,
most valuable petroleum. Kudos to the journalists for trying to figure this mess out. They've absolutely failed, but
for the record, even if it was the maid, which I don't think it was, but even if it was the maid that was responsible for somehow having petroleum come out of the walls, I would still say that she'd be the MVP, because the fact that she could have pulled something elaborate like that off is just so incredibly impressive. Again, I
it's
don't
not
think so.
elaborate, though. It's just getting a glass full of whatever random liquid happens to be lying around the
Gallons?
homestead and throwing it on the
No,
roof.
because it was coming out of the walls.
Gallons.
Spurting out of the walls.
Spurting?
Yeah, that's what I said at the start.
Totally did.
The oil began to spurt from the walls and ceiling.
You have to
All
be
right,
there.
I'm gonna say it's not a ghost,
Okay.
but I have no clue what is happening here.
Have you ever said it's a ghost?
Yeah, once or twice.
Okay.
I think you've made an argument before.
Oh, good for me.
Well,
I won't read the whole thing, but there was another amazing story in this book that was about motorists at a particularly bad roundabout with a blind spot, claiming that there was a ghost bus that was cutting them off and causing them to crash.
Yeah,
and that's
bullshit
just
there was.
insurance fraud. That's just having a crash and then saying, "Oh, it was a bus. I definitely wasn't drunk."
Redesign this roundabout.
And then they did redesign the roundabout, and it stopped. No one ever reported the bus again.
Funny about that.
Well, that was, what was it? Unexplained Mysteries.
Yeah, mysteries of the unexplained.
They were fun stories. I like them.
Yeah, it's a mystery. It's unexplained. Can't say it's wrong. It's not right, but it's not wrong.
You seem annoyed.
I am annoyed. Amber, this is the worst birthday present ever.
It's not your birthday.
It is
It's not
soon.
even Christmas yet.
Shush you.
Oh, God. I genuinely thought it was very fun. I mean, there was still some gruesome parts, but definitely not that gruesome compared to some of the ones we've had in the past.
God, it feels like months ago we were talking about Francis Bacon naked wrestling a chicken.
Wasn't naked. The chicken was.
Yeah.
It wasn't wrestling.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for that absolutely baffling romp through Reader's Digest. And thank you for reading. Thank you for finding these stories.
That's okay.
Thank you for whisking this book away from me before I could get my grubby mitts on it.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming. And heck, if you want to send us your theories about what the hell's going on in this rectory in 1919, we'd love to hear them. Email us. The link's in the description.
Or if you want to listen to a completely different podcast,
There we go.
you can listen to my podcast, which is about Doctor Who, particularly The Master. It's called Please Attend Carefully. It's on all podcast platforms.
Excellent. The link for that one will also be in the description.
Oh, thank you.
Did you think this book was actually called Masteries of the Unexplained?
No.
God, all right. Well,
All right. See you next time on Secondhand Haunting.
Do you want to get it on? No.